How's it going? Day 10, sauna talks. It's not quite uncomfortable yet in here. Right now it's 174 degrees. I should be in here for about 20 to 25 minutes. So when it comes to sauna, I'm in an infrared sauna. That's why we get all these fun jazzy lights. I'm in a clear light sauna. And the problem with the health studies, it's not really the problem. The problem for me with the health studies is that they're all done on Finnish saunas, which are steam saunas. Not steam, dry saunas. Okay? And they really have the temperature threshold is supposed to be between 176 degrees Fahrenheit and up to 220 is where you get what's called the heat shock proteins. And this is basically something called a hormetic stress, where it's good for your body, sort of like exercise, sort of like fasting, sort of like cold, or I guess I shouldn't say sort of, just like these things. Something that seems negative or is intense, but winds up being good for you at the end of the day. So, you know, the things that humans are best at doing is actually surviving. You know, place after place, time after time, global disaster, one after another. It's people survive, and they survive. They may not have the most robust health, but they can eke along, and, you know, generations go by, and then they're doing much better. So, to make up for it not being quite as hot as I need it, because the infrared sauna shuts off once it gets to that point, I just go a little bit longer. Now, most infrared saunas, people will just kind of let it go to 150. You will sweat buckets. There's no doubt about that. I mean, I one way or another, am sweating profusely by the end of my session. But am I getting the full benefit without the heat being where it should be? So if I was doing it again, I would get a dry Finnish sauna. I would also have it outside, and I would have it hold up to 6 or 8 people. Because another thing that rolls with those studies is the community, right? So you want to have that community. You want to have people to share in it with, to have those habits, to have that de-stress, to have that sharing, shared life experiences and things like that, which help reduce stress levels and, you know, make you feel not alone and all these wonderful things. So I may have been wasting 20 to 30 minutes of each day, every night, or, you know, 5, 6, 7 nights a week for the last few years. But if I just get the sweating and the detoxing of that, you know, it's not really that much of a loss. But everything that I'm doing is all towards this cardiovascular health. You know, I've mentioned before, my father was a 2-time double bypass guy, 17 years apart. After the first one, he got on the statins, he got on the blood pressure medication. My mother nagged him into eating as clean as possible while she was around. And of course, then he's sneaking out when he can and having a little ice cream, having a little, you know, Entenmann's pound cake or some other garbage like that. Was having his heart healthy Cheerios every morning, which seems like such a con. You know, typical sandwich of either turkey or roast beef or something like that for lunch, on some, you know, regular highly processed seed oil bread. Doesn't matter if it's whole grain. It's just really crap components of highly processed foods. Then for dinner was probably more like chicken or pork tenderloin or something like that with a baked potato and a little salad, and makes it look like you're having a nice balanced meal, but they never put the emphasis on grass finished or crate free, or their eggs were not always in the organic, crate-free, non-GMO, all the things that you really should be doing. And surprise, surprise, even with all that, he wound up clogging up the same arteries 20 years later and had to be cracked open again and redo it. So I'm using my methods. I'm using some intermittent fasting currently with either 1 meal a day or 2 meals a day. A bunch of high intensity training with CrossFit, plus doing some skills work on juggling, foot juggling, kicking a soccer ball back and forth and around, doing some 3-ball and working towards 4-ball juggling, and working on some balance, rope flow, other things like that. Coordination-based action to not just have the body working, but have the mind working too. You need them working well together. So I've always had pretty good balance, and I thought I had some pretty decent athleticism, or I'd be able to pick up most sports or do things relatively quickly. I think if you really give it some thought, if you put some intention behind your movement and your action, and you watch, what other people are doing, you can pick up a lot of things. And, it's amazing how, if you really start putting some effort into something and you start getting like 10 hours in, 20 hours in, 30 hours in, 40 hours in, before long, you actually know a lot. You can learn a lot about topics. You can get pretty well read in. See, I just hit 176 and it actually turned off my heaters, which once it comes down to 170, they'll kick back on. Now, I guess I do have the choice to basically dismantle or break the thermostat, but I'm not really trying to mess with that. There's a lifetime warranty on these boxes, which there should be, because it costs like $6,000 or $7,000. So, but I'm sure if I jailbreak it to my specifics, it will negate that warranty. So, yeah. Let's see. I am getting closer to doing some dry fasting. The more that I read about it, the more that it is interesting to me, and not just for fat loss, which is like obviously a great, huge benefit to expedite that, but the idea that you can, in such a short period of time, clean out a lot of superficial garbage and then deeper garbage as time goes on, so that it kills off the weakest part of you and it leaves the strongest parts in a nice little like Darwinian cleanup. I think that's great. I think that's it does make sense when you start thinking about humanity over a larger timeline and the things that they did and what they did and were forced to go through, and why we are so good at adapting to really almost anything, whether it's cold, whether it's hot, whether it's altitude, whether it's a little bit of food, whether it's abundance of foods. We're really good at surviving through it all. So I'm going to start getting into a little bit of more storytelling. The challenge is not just telling like stupid stories, or I think they're funny, but of me being a total disgraceful person. Wild times and silly things, and always some alcohol and other things like that involved. But I've had a lot of situations in my life, a lot of relationships. That's a benefit of being from New York. You really get expedited in the human experience by having so many people that you're constantly coming across. And it allows for more rapid growth, because there's always, you think you know what's going on. You think you understand how the world works. You think you understand people. And then you just keep meeting more people and more people and more people and more people. And then everything's got an asterisk. And then it's like, well, if everything needs an asterisk, then maybe there aren't any hard and fast rules. And maybe I need to think a lot more. Maybe I need to slow down and stop, It's really a lifetime of any time that I absolutely thought that I knew something to be 100% true. That's when I was most wrong. So that's what I'm working. That's what I've learned through pain, through failure, is that when I am absolutely certain of something, I stop myself and I start immediately thinking, no, you're wrong. And I look at it from another way. And most of the time it holds true. And what's that, like in the Seinfeld episode where Costanza was just doing the opposite of what his instincts were and everything started going great for him? I guess it's something like that. So, well, thank you for listening to my sauna talk, a little rambly, but we're working on it. Just trying to get better, just working through some things, give you something that's admirable to share, and hopefully pretty soon I'll start seeing some results better, and you can at least say, well, even though he just talks all the time, he did get in shape. So to be continued. Be well, everyone.